Podcast Amsterdam.
You're back listening to Geli and Margaret on Wednesday edition of Damn Daily. Got Margaret down the line and we are about to go into Middlebare Mashup, and this I think is the final full version, but the final full episode for Middlebare Mashup, and back with an epilogue perhaps in a couple of weeks. So Margaret, we're looking at 3 schools today, aren't we?
Good morning. The 3 schools we're going to have a look at today are Hyperion Lyceum, Barlaeus Gymnasium and CSB.
Okay.
Hyperion, in English I've always been saying Hyperion Lyceum.
Yeah.
And then during the week my daughter has been giving me a crash course in how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
So it's and we did it for about 15 minutes. It was really funny. And I never realised the intricacies of how to pronounce Dutch because she's practically a native speaker.
Right.
So she was it was so nuanced, the little kind of ways you pronounce the A and the U, and oh my God, it was really funny, but It was incredibly frustrating.
Yes.
So anyway, this is my best. I'm going to give it one more go.
Okay.
Hyperion Lyceum.
Hyperion Lyceum. Okay.
So that's Hyperion Lyceum to you and me.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
And where are they located?
Funny. Amsterdam, Noord.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this is one of the 2 categorical VWO schools in Amsterdam. There's only 2 of them. Atheneum categorical schools. So that means that you can only study Atheneum or Gymnasium in the school.
Okay.
And the other one is located in Amsterdam Zuid. That's Het Amsterdamse Lyceum.
Yeah.
So there's 2 of them. To get there, basically, you can take the tram or the metro over to Central Station, and then you can take the ferry over to Amsterdam Noord.
Yeah.
So that would be kind of a cool way of getting to school, wouldn't it? Taking the ferry every morning.
Yes, yeah.
And then it's a few minutes walk.
Okay. Yeah.
From there. It's an amazing looking building. It's like when you see it on the website, we haven't visited it, unfortunately, because we didn't see it last year in real life. But it's a gorgeous new building. It's on the water. It's really open plan. Mm-hmm. They have 3 huge study labs. So they're almost the size of 3 or 4 classrooms.
Right.
They have regular classrooms as well. They have the pièce de résistance kind of is that they have this slide going down to the middle of the school. Yes.
That's cool.
It's very cool. Like it really is. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So my daughter's eyes nearly popped out of her head when she saw, because she was on a webinar the other day, and when she saw the slide, she was like, oh my God, I want to go there. They have foosball tables. They have these little yellow pods that you can sit in kind of and relax in. It's a wonderful building.
Yeah.
So the slide kind of goes, I think, from the 3rd floor down to the 3rd down to the 2nd. But like the floors are really wide and light and bright. It's gorgeous. So they have music studios. They have 2 gyms. They have science labs, of course. They have an auditorium. They say that the building reflects their ambitions: open, independent, investigative. The slide, I suppose, and learning together. Yeah. Like I said, they have 2 programs, the Gymnasium program and the Atheneum program. So the other thing is with their subjects, generally schools here you can study French and German, as well as Dutch and English. But Hyperion, you don't study German, you study Spanish.
Right.
So there aren't that many schools, like I mentioned last week, that have the option of Spanish. So they have Spanish there as an exam subject. Some schools would offer Spanish, but it would be maybe like an extra. You could do it after school.
Yes.
Like our school offers that. Other schools offer it. Actually, no, they don't offer Spanish. I'm wrong. But they offer other subjects like Chinese or whatever. Yeah. But Hyperion offers Spanish as an exam subject. Mm-hmm. Like I said before, if you remember, the Gymnasium program basically is that's extra with Latin and Greek and kind of cultural formation and cultural history, Roman and Greek history. Hyperion they're named after the Greek god Hyperion, which means the Titan of Light, he who oversees everything. And their aim is to train students to become empathic and critical thinkers and doers as well. So to be very active in social life and society.
Okay.
The way their kind of teaching method sort of seems to work is that they really want a lot of constructive feedback from the kids. So they're very open. They use first names with the teachers and the kids. They want, they want to hear like how it's going for the children, and they have different structures in place, or they are setting up structures in place for that to happen. It seems to be it's not a traditional school.
Yeah.
It's new enough. It was founded in 2011, and then they moved to this new building about 3 or 4 years ago. So it's still kind of in sort of an experimental phase in the sense that they're still always trying to improve and put new kind of processes in place. So they have their school plan for the next few years. That's up on the website. Well, every school you can see their school plan. You know, they're ambitious. They're an ambitious school, I would say.
Yeah.
They want to hear a lot of feedback from parents and kids in how they can improve. Also, the organisation, this is interesting, how the organisation of the school, it's horizontal. So it's not hierarchical in the sense of you have your director and then your conrectors and teachers and your coordinators. I mean, they have people who obviously do all of those functions, but decisions are taken among everybody. So they call it a deep democracy approach. Deep democracy. Wow. Sounds interesting.
It sounds slightly sinister.
And a little bit scary.
But this, I guess, it's taking inspiration from the kind of polder model that exists here.
The Dutch polder model, it must be. So, it's a very democratic school in the sense of among the staff. Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously that seeps down into their interactions with kids as well. But anyway, it seems to be a kind of a fluid. I just love the sound of it, that they're definitely striving.
So an interesting blend between trying to be what would be seen as slightly a bit gimmicky in the UK, this idea of being able to address teachers by their first names. No one would really take that seriously. But here it's obviously to generate, as you say, a sort of a sense of togetherness and communication. But juxtaposed with the quite... Well, you say they're not trying. They don't want to be seen as traditional, but actually, but they are offering the traditional learning, with the Greek and Latin.
Yes.
So quite a curious blend. But so that was just one thought quickly, and then the other thing was this learning together, where you've got these extra large spaces, as you say. Presumably there's more than one lesson going on within those spaces. Is that how the idea?
I think it's they're not different subjects, so I think the idea is, and I'm not sure if they've really put this into practice yet, but this is in their plan, that they want to have like maybe an extra large French class or maths class, and then they would have a couple of teachers in there working on the different levels.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of the idea behind it.
So, but a sort of super class that's slightly filtered.
Yes. So I suppose.
Would that involve different age groups then as well? Because it's just by ability.
That I don't know, but I suppose within classes, like within a first year grouping, of 120 kids or something, you would have differentiation. There would be some differentiation required anyway.
Yes.
Even if they're all VVO children, some would find certain subjects easier than others. So I guess it's to offer differentiation, basically. Yeah. That's the idea. Yeah. They also have this thing called Bureau 5, which is aimed at gifted kids and children who need extra support, or, extra stimulation, extra differentiation. So they do have that. So perhaps that's where they do that kind of work. Yeah. In the extra big study labs. Okay. If you like.
Yeah. No. An intriguing idea. I just wonder. Have we come across that in any other of the schools that we looked at, or is this?
No.
This is a real USP
Yeah. But, and the slide is their USB.
And there, yes. Which one will go down better with the kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's around 800 pupils. It's kind of grown quite a lot. I mean, when they started off, say 10 years ago, there was 200 kids in the school.
Right.
And now so every year they kind of seem to add on 100 and 150. And now they're at 800. But I think they have, I think they're probably going to cap it at that because they have issues with space as well.
Yeah.
Like the way the building is designed, because it's so open plan as well, they've kind of lost space in there for regular classrooms. Do you know?
Yeah.
So they can't, I think they're probably at their limit now of pupils.
Yeah. Well, 800 is it's a decent size.
It's decent
isn't
anyway.
It? I mean,
it is.
Yeah.
Although remember last week we had MLA, Montessori Lyceum, and they had 1,900 students.
Yeah, that's big.
Although again subdivided into smaller buildings, but still.
Yeah. So your daughter has seen. She's only been able to engage with it online. Is that right?
Yeah. Everything's totally online now.
And how has that come across well? Do you think is she? Well, apart from the slide, she obviously likes to look at the slide. But does it? Where does it sit on your sort of scale of potential?
Yeah, she liked it a lot actually. Yeah. It's just really far away from us.
Yeah, I was going to say, as lovely as that commute sounds.
We're in Amsterdam, Zuid, south of Zuid.
Yeah.
And this is Noord, across on the ferry. So, I mean, realistically, for her to get to school, it would take around 45 minutes minimum, probably, depending, if there's, I don't know, traffic lights issues with the ferry or something like that. Like lots of kids do that as well. So it would still go on our list. It's definitely going to go on our list. Yeah. Because, we really like the sound of it. It sounds like a great place. But it just probably wouldn't be, will not be in the top 6 because it's so far away. Yeah. Like half an hour is fine. It's grand. But 45 minutes.
It's doing it every day.
Especially in the winter.
Yeah.
Lovely in the spring, in the autumn and summer.
Yeah. And I can imagine, in the ferry ride would be a real, when you look back at your school days, I imagine that ferry ride would have a real nostalgia to it. It's a nice way to break between school and home, isn't it? But
exactly. But
I can see that doing it every day, so as you say, especially in winter, twice a day, it's perhaps.
Yeah. Well, that's for us, but I mean, lots of other Amsterdam kids live closer in, so it might just be 20-25 minutes for them.
Yeah, which is ideal.
Which is totally fine. Yeah. So they're Bureau 5 that I mentioned.
Yeah.
So the idea of that is vibrating, which so basically it's like for deepening and I suppose strengthening and really getting into subjects more deeply. You can do extra music through that as well, and they offer metacognitive training sessions for children who need it.
Metacognitive.
I don't know.
Okay, I was going to ask, but I won't.
I haven't had that much time to actually get into it. But I'm guessing it's like a friend of mine, her daughter goes there. So she's a super bright child. So they have metacognitive training available as well for kids who need extra support in different ways. And you could do, like I said, through Bureau 5, you can do extra music through that, and you can also do Cambridge English through Bureau 5. So it's not that everybody, the Bureau 5 option is not for everybody in the school. This is part of their differentiation package, I suppose. My friend, she finds the school really flexible. Her daughter's in 3rd or 4th year now, and very good at communicating with parents, really eager to experiment and find the best way to motivate teenagers. She reckons it's quite a nerdy school. Lots of math, science, computing types are there.
Okay.
There are some staffing issues as well. It's harder hit by teacher shortages than the gymnasia, the 5 gymnasia schools. There's not much outdoor space, unfortunately, but they are building a new park and a running track.
Oh. That is part of the school, or is a public space at the school?
I think it's going to be. No, I don't think it's part of the school.
No.
you know how Noord is always developing, so it's going to be right beside their school basically. So they'd obviously be able to use it right away. So it'd be great.
So I just looked up while you're just gathering. I just looked up metacognitive, and it's thinking about thinking, or knowing about knowing.
Thinking about thinking.
Yeah. So sort of taking a step back from what you're from the learning and observing, I suppose, and reflecting on how you do it. Okay, sorry, back to you.
Okay, thanks for doing that. Oh yeah, back to the staff. So it's definitely, like I was saying, it's non-hierarchical, it's democratic, but they're responsible for their own teaching areas, the teachers. So that's kind of how they seem to do it, how they spread the responsibility. The boy-girl percentage is, there are more boys. It's almost, looking at the last couple of years, almost 2/3 boys, 1/3 girls. 860 pupils actually last year. So there was 518 boys and 348 girls.
Yeah.
So if you have a girl who's like a girly girl, or who loves hanging out with girls, maybe that might be an issue. I don't know. Then I remember back to Gerrit van de Veen school, and they were almost the opposite. They had like 2/3, even 3/4 girls, and then I think it was 2/3 girls, 1/4 boys. So there are some schools. I think most schools are kind of half and half, but then there are some like these that have a little bit more, and maybe that ties into then the whole technological computer kind of thing as well. Maybe also their teachers are there's the male there 55% male teachers, 45% female teachers last year and the previous year. The other thing,
yes,
go on.
I was just, I suppose I was just thinking about the UK where actually, but then I think in secondary schools it is a little bit more of an even split between male-female teachers. But I know in the primary schools it's certainly very female-led, Yeah. I just wondered if you have any idea about the split here in the Netherlands, more broadly speaking, or...
Do you mean in primary school?
Well, in neither, perhaps, because I've put you on the spot, so I'll take anything.
Well, going on my kids' secondary school, it's definitely half and half.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not female heavy or male heavy, I don't think. No, it seems to be pretty evenly split.
Okay.
Also, their primary school is evenly split.
Yes, that's good.
The male teachers in our primary school, I've noticed, do teach the older pupils.
Okay.
They're more centred in the 4th, 5th, 6th class, or group 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
And that has been an issue here actually for teacher training, because years ago they used to teach for teacher training the kindergarten teachers were separate. They had a separate training, I think, to the primary school teachers.
Right.
And in the kindergarten it was all women.
Yeah.
And then the government put the training, they put them all together. Mm-hmm. And then there was a very noticeable fall of men going into primary school teaching.
Right.
Because it meant that they could end up in a Group 1 or Group 2 class, the kindergarten classes.
Yes.
And they clearly didn't want that. So then they pulled out. So that has been kind of an ongoing sort of debate I've noticed here, that some people say, well, that maybe why don't they just go back to how it was, and just train the teachers just for the kindergarten first, the 4 and 5 year olds, and then whoever wants to go into that can go into it, and then the from age 6 up, then train the other people, and then that's probably when the men might come back into the
mix.
Into the mix, yeah, exactly. There's lots of different ways of looking at that, isn't there?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So sorry, we're sort of slightly digressing there. So back to.
No, I like digression.
Yeah. Back to Hyperion.
Hyperion. So the other thing about it that we noticed was the gymnasium student cohort is small. So most students at Hyperion do Atheneum. So last year, for example, there was 128 kids taking the Atheneum program and 34 doing gymnasium. So it's a small enough group. Let me see. And the most popular profile in Hyperion at the moment is E&M, which is Economics and Society. Yeah. And then the next most popular one, like by far, so those two are really the most popular, was N&T, which is Natuur and can't remember exactly what it is. Anyway, it's basically the natural world and technology.
Yeah.
So all those people who do N&T here in the Netherlands, usually, well, not usually, but like lots of them would go to Delft University of Technology. You know, it's one of like the best universities in the Netherlands. So it's...
Yeah, okay. So
anyway.
If you already have an inkling about which direction your child is going to, that's... that would be relevant, yeah.
And also the other interesting thing in the Onderbouw, which is first, second and third year, besides the normal, regular subjects you get in the VWO school, they also offer 3 new subjects, and they're called Grote Denkers, which is basically philosophy, looking at Socrates and all those guys. Lifestyle informatics, which is, it's an introduction to coding and how to research on the internet and slowly building your computer skills.
Okay.
And then they also have a subject called Logica and Argumentatieleer, which is logic and debating.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're 3 extra subjects.
Yeah, but very useful.
Yeah, very useful subjects. And they say that these 3 subjects form a bridge between now this might be, you might be familiar with this, but I certainly was not until I came here, right? This notion of alpha, beta, gamma. Have you heard of this?
No.
So this is a real thing in Dutch secondary schools. They kind of group their subjects, they talk about it like in terms of, the alpha subjects, which would be the languages. Oh, okay. The beta subjects, maths and science, and then gamma is history, economics, geography.
Okay.
So, and they, lots of, I suppose, Dutch people think or talk about their kids kind of in terms of he's an alpha kid, he's a beta kid, usually it's alpha or beta.
Yeah.
If a child is kind of going, it's just a description. But it's interesting because when I heard it first when I came here, I was like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
So they use these Greek, isn't it? Yeah. They use these Greek terms to describe their children's, learning
sort of
characteristics, I suppose, or maybe the direction they think their kids are going to go in. So in Hyperion, they say that those 3 subjects that I mentioned a few minutes ago form a bridge between the alpha and the beta and the gamma subjects. Yeah. And they also have the Kunstvakken subjects, which are the artistic subjects like music and art.
Yeah, yeah.
So
very interesting. Yeah, great. So we're going to finish off on Hyperion Lyceum.
Hyperion, yes.
Okay.
You have the pronunciation down there, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah, pretty good. Okay, so what I didn't say was they have 2 programs, Atheneum and Gymnasium, but their Atheneum program is Atheneum Plus.
Okay.
That's the name of it. It's not just old, regular Atheneum. So their Atheneum Plus program includes the 3 subjects I mentioned earlier. Which was lifestyle informatics, philosophy basically, and logic and debate. Yeah. But they so that's their Atheneum Plus program, and they also add drama in the upper years as well. But in first year, so what they do in first year is all the pupils are introduced to the classical languages. So they're all introduced to Latin and Greek in some form, and the principles of the 2 languages are reviewed. So it's not like full on into Latin lessons the way it would be in the regular classical gymnasium, where you're like doing your Latin for the whole year. And then you do Greek usually in second year or halfway between first year. Through first year, I mean. But here, in first year here, they're kind of introduced to it, I suppose, maybe they're led into it in an easier way. And then they look at the principles of the languages. And at the end of the year, then, the child chooses between Atheneum Plus or Gymnasium.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yes, yeah.
So, you get an idea about it. But,
exactly.
And like I said, most kids at the end, anyway, their end diploma is, most of them have an Atheneum diploma, not a Gymnasium diploma. So the other thing about them is, this is part of kind of their progressive ideals. They want to increase students' ownership of the school. So, for example, freedom of profile choice in fourth year. So they want to kind of do something around that, not as traditional as it usually is. And they want to introduce more project-based learning as well. So also a friend of mine was a teacher there for a long time, so she knows the school really well.
Okay.
So she's great school.
Yeah.
Shared leadership is part of their vision, kind of like what I mentioned before about their whole democratic thing. Very relaxed relationship between teachers and pupils. She emphasised that. Us coming maybe from much more traditional kind of societies or conservative societies, she said there isn't any like fear of authority at all there. There's they're not scared. They're just not scared.
Yeah.
And they're just, like I mentioned as well, they're really open to feedback from the pupils. They also have a Kozen lab, which Koz means, I'm not pronouncing it correctly probably, but it means choice. So you can choose extra classes. So for example, if you have French class the next day and you have a test and you need a boost, you can choose the day before to go into an extra French class.
Cool.
Yes, very nice.
Yeah.
It's also a healthy school, that's what they say about it. But on the first Thursday of every month, they have a Stoute Donderdag, which is basically, and this again, like really kind of interested my daughter. So I was like, the slide and the Stoute Donderdag. So the first Thursday of every month is like a really fun, unhealthy food day. So it's when they kind of throw the doors open and you can bring in your Skittles and your M&Ms and your crappy food, and they sell crappy stuff in the canteen on that day, apparently. I shouldn't say crappy. I mean, it's all food, isn't it?
Yeah.
But anyway, more unhealthy food. So that's like more, I would imagine then it's even a more relaxed, fun day than normal.
Yeah.
They work with devices as well, mostly laptops. And they work together a lot. But an interesting thing also is their final diploma rate. So that's called the Slags percentage, I think, in Dutch. Slagings percentage is behind the national average. So that is it's a relevant statistic. So the national, that means like how many kids in the school pass their final diploma there, their Eind diploma.
Okay.
And the norm, I think, in the country at the moment is around 91% of schools, the pupils in schools pass their final diploma. Yeah. And in Hyperion at the moment, the last couple of years, it's around 85%.
Okay.
So they need to, I guess they're working on that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll do it because it's that kind of a school, they have a very close relationship with the parents as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people very invested there.
I guess it's relatively new, isn't it? And
it's 10 years old.
10 years, okay.
Yeah, I mean, compared to other schools that are like maybe 90 years old or 50 years old.
Yeah. So
and
perhaps that's all in the teething still.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So is that concluding?
That's Hyperion Lyceum.
Good. Okay. And now then, so we're going to talk about a second school. Which one is that?
Barlaeus Gymnasium.
Barlaeus. Now that rings a bell. Where is that located?
Yeah, that's basically located in just like down the road from the Leidseplein.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know it probably.
Yes. Definitely my part of town.
It's a lovely. It's a gorgeous building. It's. I think it's the oldest school in Amsterdam. Oh. Oldest high school. Yeah. Like the school was definitely built back in the 1800s. The building. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I have been in that school a few times. My daughter hasn't been, but I was there with my two older boys, and it's really lovely. So obviously it's totally renovated and everything. The only thing is they don't have a school plan. They don't have a school garden or a schoolyard. They have no outside space as such because it's right, I suppose, in the centre of town. But what they do is they're very close to the Wandel Park.
Yep.
There's canals kind of around there, so I think they go and sit by the canal and by the water in good weather. They walk over to the Wandel Park or cycle there, I suppose. They're right beside the Rijksmuseum.
Yeah.
you know, so I mean, there's it's not a bad place to be going to school.
It's definitely leafy and
and the light supply is there, obviously, and you know, one of the most happening places, I suppose, in the city. So,
indeed,
and I think that sometimes is maybe a worry for parents, that they think, oh, if my kid ends up in the school on the light supply, are they ever actually going to be in the school?
Yes.
Because there's so many interesting things around there, including a very popular coffee shop, isn't there? The Bulldog, I think, is
yes.
there?
That's right there. Yeah.
And when I say coffee shop, I don't mean cafe.
No.
I mean where you can buy your weed. But anyway, the Barlaeus Gymnasium, it's a really popular school. It's one of the most popular schools in Amsterdam. There are 800 pupils at the moment there. And this year they're going to have 140 places.
Okay.
Yes, which isn't a lot. You know, other places might have 150, 160. And also between the gymnasia, the 5 gymnasia, they rotate, and each one of them gets an extra class usually every year.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned that it was Barlaeus Gymnasium this year is getting the extra class.
Yeah.
I'm going to double check that. But anyway, that is right. But I always like to double check things. So Barlaeus, anyway, have only 140 places this year. So, yeah, it basically, if you want to go to Barlaeus Gymnasium, you put it as your number 1 on your list. You don't put it on 2 or 3 because you won't get in then. Because it's very popular as well. It's an open bar school, so there's no religious or otherwise there's no religion behind it. Like, say, Ignatius Gymnasium is, I think it was a Jesuit school, so it still is in that Jesuitic, is that the word, tradition, kind of, in terms of, we talked about that a few weeks ago. So the Barlaeus, anyway, has no
religious affiliation.
No religious affiliation at all. Like Vossius. Vossius is also an open bar gymnasium, and Hyperion. Lots of them are. Anyway, their canteen, they have a nice canteen, provides healthy food. That's just when you walk in the door, it's kind of almost in front of you from memory. I remember I did find the building kind of a little bit sort of cramped, because it is just one big, beautiful building, but it's not a big building, you know, for that number of pupils. And I remember you have to walk up these stairs, which is really cool because they have all these, it's kind of painted walls as you're walking up. And I think it's fabric or something on the wall, as far as I can, sort of carpety fabric or something, and in blocks of colour. Like, it's very striking.
Yeah.
But it and the stairs is like steel, I think.
Okay.
But which is really juxtaposition then with the old building as well.
Yeah.
But also I remember just feeling, you know, as I was walking up, like, and lots of pupils are coming up and down, like, that's the only way, I think, to almost, I mean, I think there probably is another way, another back stairs or something, but it felt like that's where everybody comes up and down, you know, on that stairs. Yeah. To get up into the, you know, the labs and the classrooms, etc. Anyway, that's only a minor little kind of observation.
Well, you say that, but obviously this last year it must have presented extra challenges if they were ever trying to operate.
Well, yeah. Actually, do you know what they're doing now? They have lots of their pupils back. So my school, my kids are only back 3 days a fortnight. But the Barlaeus, because well, I guess it's probably because of where they're situated, but they have sent some of their older pupils to, you know, Paradiso, the concert.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, the concert
venue,
spot.
Isn't it? Yes.
And also Paradiso. Oh, yeah, and the Pathé Cinema. The cinema that's just down the road from there as well. So they're older kids, so maybe like they're 16, 17, 18-year-olds, are having class in the Paradiso and the Pathé Cinema.
That's cool. That's so cool.
But I think that's sort of like typical. It's what you would expect from Barlaeus, because it kind of has this reputation of like being sort of, you know, as sort of the cool school, you know. Okay. So it really fits with their reputation as well, you know. And I think lots of, well, in the past anyway, they would have had lots of like actors and singers and blah, blah, blah attending there, you know. So it still has that sort of vibe, I think. And they have a really good. It's really great organisationally, because I have friends whose kids go there, and that's one of the kind of things that stands out.
Yeah.
That it's really excellently organised. And a lot of that seems to come down to the conrector, who is like she's the vice principal, if you like. I think that's probably the closest description. So she organises the underbouw the first 3 years.
Yeah.
And she was awarded a knighthood, like the Dutch equivalent of a knighthood last year. Yeah, for her services to the school. Like she's utterly dedicated. So yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
I met her. She's a very dynamic woman.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And she teaches English there as well. I think she incorporates drama and stuff like that. Anyway, they actually, back to English, they don't have Cambridge English there or Fastlane English in Barlaeus, which was surprising to me.
Yeah.
So you can't do the Cambridge English exams through the school.
Right.
So when organising the class, or the new class that's coming in this year, they take into account your CETO scores, your final 6th class score, group 8 scores, your hobbies, what your primary teacher says about you, where you live, so you can maybe bike together with a kid who lives nearby. The mentor, this is pretty common. One of your teachers is also your mentor. The mentor hour is you learn how to deal with social media. You see your mentor for at least 3 hours a week. I hear the mentors are great, as in my friends, their mentors are great. All the usual gymnasium subjects in first year. Plus, they also have a subject in first year called Staatsinrichting, which is like political organisation. They have the usual then, like French, English, Dutch, Latin, history, geography, biology, maths, visual education, music, gym class, and their political organisation subject. So they say in their doing French, the funny, when you translate some of the Dutch phrases, the idioms, they sound really funny in English.
Yeah.
So when they say, like, if you learn French here, you'll never be on holiday again with a mouthful of teeth. That's the translation. I love these Dutch English translations.
Yeah.
The activities, you can participate in the European Youth Parliament. They have their own Barlaeus Youth Parliament as well. Every year they run 5 runs with the Barlaeus running team. So they have a running team.
Yeah.
They participate in various sports tournaments against other schools. They're involved in debating with other schools. They take part in the Maths Olympiads, which is the national maths tournament run by, I think, the Radboud University. Yeah. Lots of VVO schools would take part in the Maths Olympiads. Yeah. Their third years do a sustainability project. They have the class tournoi, which is like class sports tournament. Our school does that as well. It's great fun. Like they do kind of, I think it's around 3 or 4 days of sports tournaments within the school. It's really good fun. Yeah. And they all kind of try to be, it's a big thing, whoever wins the trophy. Philosophy is a final exam subject, so that's an option at Barlaeus. Okay. They have lots of cultural trips abroad, the usual gymnasium trips or VVO trips. In fourth year, language trips to Paris, Berlin, Edinburgh for English, Berlin for German, Paris for French, obviously, just in case you didn't know, Geli, what languages are spoken in those cities. The gymnasium students go to Rome in 5th year.
Nice.
Last year, because my kid didn't go, you usually go at the beginning of 5th year, to Rome in gymnasium for a week or longer, actually 10 days. Wow. Our school goes for 10 days to Rome, but because of Corona, our school didn't do it, and Barlaeus did do it. So I remember being really envious, of the 5th years, because my kid never got to do it. But they did a shortened trip at the beginning of September. I was really surprised. I think they went for a week. Yeah. When everybody else was starting to batten down the hatches, Barlaeus went to Rome. And our school, the plan is to go this September, so at least they will do it. Okay. But they decided to wait a year. Yeah. The first year is going on a camping trip, and they put on a play, and it's kind of like a survival camp thing, and they have a blog. You can see that online, and so you can see the photos and everything, which I was surprised at. I thought it would be protected. But anyway, they have an Erasmus Plus project. So there's lots going on. They have a winter and summer concert in the Single Kirk, the beautiful old church there in Amsterdam. And the final thing to say, they have a first year musical and everybody is supposed to take part, is really encouraged to take part. And this is like their big thing every year, the first year musical.
Yeah.
And they have a yearly musical theatre production as well. But the first year musical is kind of like the big Barlaeus event.
All right. Brilliant.
One more thing that I want to say, because I found this interesting. In Barlaeus, you stay in the same class the whole way through until the end of 6th year. Whereas, for example, in our school, you stay in the same class for the first 3 years. That's your core class. And then when you get to 4th year, because you're picking a new profile, you know, and some kids pick history, some kids pick physics or whatever. So you have 4 different profiles. But also your core class also is separated. You know, so you're spread out again, you're mixed up, and you get to know. So I suppose the pro is you get to know new kids again in 4th year in our school, for example. The con is if you love your class, you're broken up. Yeah. And in Barlaeus, I suppose the con is if you don't really like your class, you know, or, you know, if it's not a good fit for you from first year, you're stuck with it for 6 years. And then obviously the pro is if you love your class, you're there. So that was an interesting comparison, I thought. And they also offer all the 4 maths variants in Barlaeus, maths A, B, C and D. Our school doesn't really offer C. That's the easiest one, and they don't really offer it. And Barlaeus, you can, apparently on their website they say you can do all 4.
Well, I can see why it's very popular, because that's it just sounds incredibly active and broad range of subjects and activities and what have you. So not to mention the location, as you say, and the dynamic. And
also I think, you know, just the reputation of it, you know.
Absolutely.
Who used to go there, you know, the movers and shakers or whatever.
Great. Well, thank you for that. So that's Barlaeus near Leidseplein. Broadcast Amsterdam. Our third and last school for today. I was trying to find out what CSB stands for, but I could not.
I think it's... no, I'm not going to make a guess.
No. Okay, don't worry. Nevertheless, we'll just...
Well, I know what the B stands for, Buitenveldert, which is the neighbourhood in which it's located.
Okay, all right.
It's located actually in Amsterdam Zuid, but in Buitenveldert, which is just on the kind of border of Amstelveen.
Yeah. Tell us more about the school.
Okay. So there are 730 pupils approximately in the school. It's different to the 2 schools we just spoke about, which were categorical schools, just one level. This school has 3 levels. So it's kind of, it's like a brede school, sort of broad school is what it would be called. And they offer MAVO, which are otherwise known as VMBO-T, HAVO and VWO. Atheneum. They don't offer a gymnasium program here. Okay. The majority does a HAVO diploma, comes out with a HAVO diploma, and then swiftly followed by VMBO diploma, and then a much smaller cohort of last year 49 pupils had a VWO diploma. Okay. So, like, you know, their intention, the intention with like a broad school as well, a brede school, is that you can, for example, maybe start at the MAVO level, and then when you pass that diploma in 4 years, so the VMBO diploma is a 4-year program. So when you're 16 then you would have your VMBO diploma. And then a third of their pupils go on to do the HAVO diploma, which is excellent. Yeah. And then, like I said, a much smaller cohort then stay and do the VWO diploma there. Yeah, the big advantage of a school like this that has the 3 levels is that you can, you know, even if you start at HAVO or if you start at VWO and you know it's too difficult for you, then you can, you know, move to the lower level if you like, but you don't have to leave your school. Whereas in the categorical schools, you would have to leave if you can't hack the VWO level. You would have to just leave. So this is really nice that you can move between levels, and the teachers are obviously like super experienced at helping their pupils move between levels as well. In the VMBO program, the exams are in 3rd year and 4th year, so they spread them out over 2 years. The national exams, I mean. And at the end of 3rd as well, they start kind of helping the kids kind of really focus on where they want to go in the future, basically. a friend of mine, her son is here. He's in the Bruch class in first year, and he is super happy.
Great.
There. He's really, really happy and really nice teachers. And I know some kids in my neighbourhood as well who've gone there, and they're great kids. They're very kind of, I would say they're hardworking kids actually, and they're so they had a great time at that school, and now they've finished. They got their VMBO diploma, and they're all working in. You have to stay in school here until you're 18, or until you get a qualification. Yeah. So then after VMBO, you can kind of go and do sort of, I suppose, kind of like internships. Right. And it's so broad. I mean, that whole area, I don't know much about that, to be honest. Yeah. But it sounds incredible, because the system is really set up that you can, once you get this VMBO diploma age 16, then you, like, the world is kind of your oyster in terms of what kind of internships or apprenticeships that you want to do. And the system is really organized here that you, fantastic. That it is fantastic. So the other thing about CSB is they offer, they focus on millennium. Oh my God, I'm going to try that again. Millennium skills. I was about to say millennial. Yes. wasn't where they're trying to go with this. And art and culture is very important as well. So they focus on, they do a lot of art and culture in the Underbouw in the first few years, and drawing and music. They're two school subjects. And they also work their millennium skills. They work a lot on creative assignments in the graphic design and tech design streams. Right. Unusually as well, because I haven't come across this yet in the other schools, possibly Gert van de Veen, but I'm not sure. But art and design is an exam subject at all 3 levels. Okay, yeah. Yeah, which is really nice. Yeah. And then after their the final exam, they have a huge exhibition of all their art and design works. Yeah, it's a very diverse school. That's the other thing I would say. CSB is much more diverse. And they have kids coming from all over Amsterdam as well to go there. Okay. I would say CSB is not very well known. That's just my own kind of thinking. It's not very well known maybe among expat or international parents.
It's on the smaller end, isn't it? As you said, with pupils of about 700 and something pupils.
760, I think. 760,
yeah. So, but nice location, I guess.
Yeah, it is a really nice location, actually.
The sort of more urban one, Barlaeus is right in the centre there, and this one is
exactly. And there's a lovely park right beside it. And they go walking there as well.
Thank you so much, Margaret. I know I know that there will be another instalment, possibly next week or the week after.
Next week, yeah. Okay,
next week.
Yeah, one either next week or the week after. I'm not 100% sure yet.
Okay, great. But this is wrapping up the deep dive into the various schools here in Amsterdam. So thank you very much for all the research that you've done on those. And just
pleasure.
Yeah, and I wish good luck to everyone out there who is going through the same process. Discovering schools and trying to shortlist them in time for the submission of the form.
The 19th of March is the final date.
Deadline. Yeah.
And it's digital. That's the other thing now. There's no handing in your list anymore, which is kind of a pity. It's all digital.
Yeah, and that's partly Corona-based, I imagine, but probably...
that is why. It's only because of that.
Oh, right, okay. So it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward, whether they retain that pure digital process or not.
I just want to say as well, I'm going to put on the Pinterest board some websites from today as well, including not just the schools, but also the scrolling up the cart that I did before in the VSA, who have lots of statistics on schools and how many pupils have put schools at their number 1, and then you can be a little bit strategic around it. Great. So I'm going to put that on the Pinterest board now as well when I get off the line.
Thank you.
Broadcast Amsterdam. Broadcast Amsterdam, your local radio station, 24/7 and on demand. Or on broadcastamsterdam.nl.